What did you make of this statement? Because it was rare, if not the first of its kind, in the sense that it was so strongly worded.
I think it had to be strongly worded. We were at the palace yesterday for a separate briefing about Kenya because the King and Queen are going to Kenya later on this month. And, of course, you cannot be there at a meeting like that and not raise Israel. And I think there was a sense that we hadn't heard anything from the monarch. I think people are suffering. People are feeling this. There is a very, very dark mood. And in our country, there's a great sense of sadness. And I think at moments like this, we do look to our monarch to sort of pull us together as a nation, to try and find some sense of hope in all of this. And it makes me think back to the coronation and having all those faith leaders there at the coronation, the King's absolute emphasis, not just as king since the accession, but as Prince of Wales, to have that importance on interfaith dialogues. I mean, these are the pictures of him back in Israel in 2020 when he visited not just Israel, but the Palestinian territories as well. He's passionate about this area. He's passionate about trying to bring peace to this area. Yesterday, we know he spent time on the telephone speaking to the President of Israel and the King of Jordan. But I think his statement was strong to speak about barbaric acts of terrorism, a word that the BBC hasn't used, and yet we are hearing it from our sovereign, is incredibly hard-hitting. And, of course, we also had a statement from the Prince and Princess of Wales as well. Yeah,
just on the King, though, before we talk about William and Catherine, because their comments are important as well. He has said in his statement the thoughts and prayers with all of those suffering. So in one sense, he's singled Hamas out as a terrorist organisation, which it is, but that also reflects those civilians suffering in Gaza as well, doesn't it?
Of course, the innocent Palestinians whose lives are being turned upside down. And I think that is very important to Charles. He's not seen to be taking sides. He doesn't want to be accused of being political, but this is a humanitarian crisis that is affecting hundreds of thousands of innocent people on both sides.
And what about William and Catherine then?
Well, I think you're right, Stephen. I mean, it was a pretty powerful statement. I almost think that William and Catherine's statement went further than the King's, because what they talked about was Israel's right of self-defence, something that I think most people wouldn't argue with. But quite unusual to hear the senior royals venturing into that slightly political territory. But again, you know, the Prince of Wales has visited Israel and the Palestinian territories. That was back in, I think, 2018. And that was a historic visit. Went to Jerusalem, to Bethlehem, you know, and into the Palestinian territories as well. So these are two of the most senior royals with an innate understanding of the complexities of this region.
Is this a sign, Is this a sign of the modernising of the British royal family with this reaction? Because you look back to the late Queen Elizabeth, a statement like this would never come.
It wouldn't. Oh, no, I think you're right,
Ellie. Of those affected, and it
would have ended there.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. And I think we are seeing a more modern monarchy, a monarchy that is prepared to speak out. And I think that's what you're seeing both with the King and with the future King.
But why is it seen as, and it is seen as controversial by some, that say William would say Israel has a right to self-defence? That shouldn't, in reality, be controversial, should it? Because it should apply to every sovereign state.
Yes, I think so. But I think at this time when tensions are running so high, and you see this on social media with many of the celebrities that are posting their support, and then are getting attacked by the Palestinian side. So I think it's very delicate territory to navigate. But I actually think those statements were well worded. I think they hit the right note. And I do think the people wanted to hear from their monarch.